ECO9 is sponsored by your Washington area Toyota dealers.
Well, we're back with a deep dive on what ECO9 means for our station as well as the community. Let's send it back over to Caitlin and Alexandria with more on that. Caitlin?
Yeah, Larry, ECO9 is really just one step in the right direction for WUSA 9, and it doesn't stop with the launch of the vehicle itself. So we're committed to telling the stories of the DMV, shedding light on how climate change is impacting our communities, what organizations are doing to help, and of course, how you can get involved. So here's a short sample of some of the threats we'll be covering about with the launch of ECO9.
Over 60% of the weight of all the trash that we see floating behind us, right? 60% of the weight of the trash on the river is just bottles.
Plastic contamination and sewage are hardly the only concerns in and along the Anacostia River.
We've got toxic chemicals from all kinds of old industrial uses that got into the sediment on the bottom of the river, the mud, and then that gets up into the food chain, comes up into the fish, and that can be toxic to people that eat those fish.
Needless to say, cooling off in the Anacostia is not an option as the mercury continues to climb.
We're seeing more heat waves, we're seeing more extreme heat waves and that sort of thing. I do think what we're seeing changing seasons. And so, heat is coming earlier, summer is leaving later, and we're going to actually be seeing more heat waves sort of in the springtime and in the fall. And remember, these are times when kids are in school and they're doing athletics and they're doing recreational activities.
According to the Virginia Department of Health, in 2019, more than 1,000 patients received treatments in emergency rooms or clinics for heat-related illnesses in the Commonwealth. You can, however, find plenty of shade in the 12,000 acres of land owned and operated by Nova Parks. But Northern Virginia is facing a number of environmental threats as a result of climate change, one of which are invasive species.
As the climate gets warmer, other species, plant species, want to grow and thrive in our area more. And the issue there is not all that's green is good. So there are plants that are local that provide really great habitat for all of our creatures in the environment. And then there are other plants that thrive in this area but aren't from this area that provide a much lower level of habitat value. And they basically choke out the native plants,
harming trees that help keep our air clean. And we can use all the help we can get. While D.C. has seen significant decreases in air pollutants over the past few decades as a result of successful emissions regulations, nitrogen dioxide, or NO2, produced by burning fossil fuels, is still contaminating the air we breathe at harmful levels.
In D.C., we estimate that NO2 levels are still about 60% higher than the World Health Organization guidelines, which are based on the latest science and really put in place to protect public health.
But not everyone is being impacted equally.
Because of racist historic practices and exclusionary zoning practices, communities of color face disproportionately higher levels of NO2 and the public health consequences that are associated with NO2.